Hello and welcome. Today I am going to discuss about superfoods. It's going to be a long video and I would like to cover different types of superfoods. So are they really super or is it just a hype? And I am also going to explore the research evidence and why it is called superfood. So you find some of these things very interesting. So superfood often grab headlines. We know that we can see a lot of information about superfood in social media, in newspaper and everywhere. So you must have read that eating blueberries reduces your risk of dementia. Avocados reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. So superfoods are everywhere these days. Even the exotic superfoods like acai from the Brazilian Amazon and maca from the Peruvian Andes are now available in our nearby supermarkets. So just imagine how much these superfoods are trending these days. So research found that around 50% of adults, it's 50% of adults learn about food through social media. So avocado toast, turmeric lattes, cloud eggs. So these were all first brought to the public attention through Foodstagramming. So social media is very powerful and popular in influencing people regarding these superfoods. So superfoods, so they are not just ordinary foods because they are really super and they are not medicine. So they are positioned between food and medicine. And it is also confusing, like how much we have to take and how much we have to consume to get the required benefits. So that is a very puzzling thing. And also the focus is on individual foods and nutrients. So this might distract from our old public health messages of eating a balanced diet. And something very interesting is often superfoods are associated with something called ancient, indigenous or traditional food. You must have seen this in advertising these foods as indigenous food, traditional food. So that is something interesting and that catches our attention. Oh, it is something ancient. That means it is really good. So for example, chia seed, a native of Mesoamerica, is often called the superfood of Aztecs, while the Peruvian root maca is frequently marketed as the Inca superfood. These are all ancient civilization and these foods are around 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. These foods people were eating these foods. So that is why it is all connected to some ancient and indigenous population. So this is another marketing strategy and we are so fascinated by this. So why the superfoods are super or why it is got that name, that superfood? Because it's not a very scientific nutritional classification as superfood. It is more of a commercial thing because they are highly nutritious and these foods promote good health and contains lot of vitamins and minerals, contains antioxidants and lots of bioactives, and it helps to maintain a healthy weight and also reduces the risk of chronic diseases. So now the main question is, are they scientifically proven? Because we read lots about the scientific or the medicinal effect or the health benefit of the superfoods. They are anti-cancerous, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, and it prevents diabetes, cholesterol, and it prevents the risk of heart disease, stroke, lots of things we read about these superfoods. Are they all really proven by the research? So that is a very difficult and challenging question. So I would like to unpack some of the common assumptions around the research evidence around superfoods. The first thing is, it is very challenging to research individual food items or compounds because we eat a variety of food. So it's not just like one food we eat. So it's very difficult and challenging to research on, generally on an individual food. Then the second thing is about bioactives. Research into bioactives. So what is this bioactives? These are, for example, carotenoids, polyphenols, which has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties and many other properties, and often results in headlines about amazing foods. In reality, it is just a tiny part of the food, and it is often found elsewhere, not only just in superfoods. But it is commercialized and advertised and marketed because they contain these bioactives. But it is only a tiny portion of this food. A notable example is blueberries. You all must have read a lot about blueberries. They contain bioactives, no doubt, but they are also expensive, and it is not grown everywhere. And some places we need to import these blueberries. So blackberries and plums, they also contain the same bioactives and less expensive. So the research on bioactives such as fatty acids and flavonols, and it is difficult to separate the effect of a food from an individual compound. So that is something very difficult to research. Then next point is, it is very difficult to distinguish between the health effect of different parts of food to understand what is happening. Because we have the health effects, there are so many ways it can impact the health. So it's very difficult to measure what is the exact effect. And foods are never consumed in isolation, and it is incredibly difficult to take this apart in research because we eat a variety of food. So it's very difficult to say that blueberries, maybe that is one among the 10 different foods we eat, and that is the main reason, or that is the main reason to have some health benefit. And sometimes bioactive ingredients of superfoods are researched in animals. So we cannot generalize the animal studies that it is the same effect on humans. So that is one challenge I faced when I was looking at the research evidence related to superfoods. But not always the research is done in animals. There are several research done in human beings, but most often the research is done in a very small sample, or the research studies are not good enough to give a strong result or a strong recommendation that this superfood is definitely associated with these health benefits. So that is a challenge. So many of them cause problems when consumed in excess amounts. So though these are superfoods, but there are also some side effects or problems when these superfoods are consumed in excess amounts. For example, half to 1 cup blueberries, so that is the usual recommended allowance, or that is the usual recommendation for blueberries. If you consume too much of blueberries, it can interact with medicines and can cause allergies. People with certain conditions should be specifically careful, especially careful about eating blueberries, including people with a history of kidney stones, people taking anticoagulants, people with abnormal glucose level, people with bleeding syndrome, and people with certain gastrointestinal disease. So taking too much of superfood also is a problem because it has its own side effect. It can interact with medicines we are taking. So research into diet and health is difficult because there are many things to consider. So this is all to provide a background about why the researches are difficult or why it is challenging to research on superfoods. So this is the first part of my video. The next part is about individual superfoods. So let us start with pomegranate. So pomegranate, you must have heard lots about pomegranate and the health benefits. Who doesn't like pomegranate? Yes, it is a superfood because they are high in nutrients and low in calories. So, and pomegranate also contain antioxidants, vitamins, minerals and fiber. Some of the health benefits of pomegranate include heart health, and it is also good for urinary and prostate health because pomegranate contain compounds that can help prevent kidney stones. Blood pressure and cholesterol. Pomegranate juice may help lower LDL cholesterol and reduce blood pressure. Anti-inflammatory properties. It has also got antioxidant activity. Anti-carcinogenic effects. Pomegranate fruit extract can prevent cell growth and induce apoptosis. So it has anti-cancerous properties. So like this, you can, if you can Google about pomegranate, you can see all these things written about pomegranate. Now the question is, are all these things are backed by research evidence? So I would like to highlight this aspect by explaining few research about pomegranate. So according to research studies, pomegranate has health benefits, there is no doubt. But most of the studies says that further investigation are required to clarify the mechanism of action of the bioactive ingredients and to reveal full potential of pomegranate as both preventive and therapeutic agent. So to take pomegranate to prevent certain disease or to manage certain disease, it is not clearly known how much pomegranate you have to take, how long you have to take, all these things. So a systematic review of clinical studies suggests that pomegranate can be beneficial to reduce body weight, blood pressure, glycemia, triglycerides, total cholesterol and low density lipoprotein cholesterol. And pomegranate can improve good cholesterol levels and improve insulin resistance. But the conclusion is that it's not a strong evidence or a strong recommendation, and we need additional well-designed clinical trials to determine the correct formulation and dose. And in another review, pomegranate juice appeared to decrease blood pressure, systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure in a dose-dependent manner. But they also found that the benefit is lost after 2 months. That means the pomegranate had only a short-term benefit, not a long-term benefit. So we don't know the mechanism why after 2 months the effect is, there is no effect. Maybe people develop tolerance towards pomegranate. We are not clear about it. So no sufficient evidence for most of the disease. So the main question is how much pomegranate? A small number of people may experience digestive issues such as diarrhea from eating pomegranates. Although you probably won't eat the root, stem and peel, consuming too much of these parts are not safe. So pomegranate seed is okay, but the root, stem or peel, this is not that safe. Pomegranate juice can lower blood pressure, So you have to be very careful taking pomegranate juice along with blood pressure reducing medication, because it can lead to sudden drop in blood pressure. So this has to be monitored. All about pomegranate. Next I'm going to talk about a common superfood, that is turmeric. So turmeric is a popular health supplement. It's popular all over the world, and it is used by humans for more than 5,000 years. And it is used in traditional medicine like Ayurveda, and it is described in the olden text to treat variety of conditions. So there are several claims that turmeric is good to improve brain function, to reduce pain and inflammation. But while some of these claims are linked to evidence, most of the research is done in lab and animals, making the actual effect on humans less clear. I am not saying there are no research in humans, but most of the research is done in lab and animals. So turmeric contain, another issue with turmeric is it contain around 100 different compounds, and most of the reported health benefits are linked to specific compounds called curcumin. So the curcumin is the most researched component, or considered as the most useful component in terms of health. So many of the potential health benefits of turmeric have been linked to these phenolic compounds, and it is shown to have antioxidant effect. So we know antioxidants are substances which prevent or slow damage caused by free radicals. So it is very good to have antioxidants. And free radicals are a harmful type of molecule that can cause inflammation and has also been linked to heart disease and cancer. And antioxidants prevent or slow the damage caused by the free radicals. So turmeric does indeed act as an anti-inflammatory, but many of the health benefits caused by this effect have only proven in the lab or in animal studies. So that is a challenge. But there are some research done in human beings, and it shows very good results with turmeric. One is the effect on pain. According to the results of a systematic review, which included 10 primary studies, and these are all human trials, turmeric supplements may have a modest benefit on pain compared to a placebo. Placebo is something like a which doesn't have any effect. It's a neutral type of compound. So, and in some cases as beneficial as non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs like painkillers. So there is some effect on pain. But the studies included in this review appear to be of variable quality. I have told that some of the research studies are not of good quality. Many were conducted using a very small population and had a wide variation in the amount of turmeric. So that is something important, how much turmeric we have to take. So when the studies are done using various different types of amounts, so we are not clear how much amount is the ideal dose to be taken. The second thing is turmeric and cancer. So it is, you must have read about turmeric as anti-cancerous, and it is also, you can, when you Google it, you can see that. Turmeric has also been suggested to have anti-cancer properties due to its antioxidant effect. So that is fair enough. In the lab, curcumin has been shown to reverse DNA changes in cells which cause breast cancer. But it is less clear whether turmeric reduces the risk of cancer or supports treatment in humans. So there is some effect is there, but it is not very clear. So this is the study about the therapeutic effects of turmeric or curcumin extract on pain and function for individual with knee osteoarthritis, a systematic review. So the next thing about turmeric is the brain health. With inflammation being linked to many cognitive health conditions such as dementia, some research has sought to understand whether turmeric can benefit brain function. So far, it is not clear whether the turmeric has any effect. So the research conducted in humans have generally been very small with a lack of consistency in study design, dosage, and how they measured cognitive effects. So again, this makes it difficult to see whether turmeric really does have an effect on whether any cognitive improvements are due to other factors. The next thing is about turmeric and skin health. So here you can see some good results. So there is a clear evidence that turmeric or curcumin products and supplements, both oral and topical, may provide therapeutic benefits for skin health. So it is proved that turmeric has certain benefits on skin health. Does turmeric really work? The challenge is the amount of turmeric needed to see benefits. In many studies, only the curcumin extract is used, which makes only 3% of turmeric powder itself. So curcumin, which is the most effective bioactive ingredients in turmeric, that is only 3%. And you also have to think about some of the side effects of taking too much of turmeric. So there are some reports of liver injury. A recent paper published from US reported 10 cases of liver injury due to turmeric and was reported from US and appears to be increasing in the United States. So this is reflecting the usage patterns or increased combination with black pepper. So turmeric is a great spice, giving a pleasant earthy flavor and vibrant natural yellow color to food. And it is also used traditionally, it is also used extensively. So there is no harm in using turmeric as a spice. So that is the difference. So you should not be taking too much of turmeric. So you can add turmeric to dishes, to flavor curries, to make soup, or to have a turmeric latte, that is fine. But too much of turmeric, it may not be that beneficial. And we don't know, to get the benefit, we don't know how much turmeric to be taken. But it is safe to take as a spice in small amounts. So the best way to add turmeric is to add to food, which helps in absorption also. So when turmeric is mixed with other foods and fats and oils, it will help in absorption. Let us move on to the third superfood, that is quinoa. I know it is very popular and many of you may be taking quinoa. So this quinoa, the problem is whether it is a seed or cereal. So some people say it is a seed and some people say it's a cereal. Actually it is a seed, but we are consuming like a cereal. So it is called as it is known as a pseudo cereal. So quinoa, it is an indigenous food. It is also connected to the ancient community. So indigenous rural communities of the Andes first grew quinoa around 7,000 years ago. So it's a very ancient food. Its perceived qualities as a superfood because it is rich in compounds considered beneficial to a person's health. And the best thing is it is gluten-free. So people are looking out for gluten-free options these days because gluten sensitivity is increasing among people. So it's gluten-free and considered as a complete protein. So that is something very unique about quinoa. It is a complete protein. That means it contains all the essential amino acids. So there are 9 essential amino acids and quinoa contains all the 9 essential amino acids. Isn't it really super? So quinoa is a superfood. And it's also high in fiber, vitamins and minerals, making it a popular choice for health conscious people. It's high in fiber. It is rich in dietary fiber which aids digestion and helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels and promotes a feeling of fullness. You will feel full after eating quinoa compared to rice and other cereals. And it is rich in nutrients. Quinoa is packed with vitamins and minerals including magnesium, phosphorus, manganese and folate. And it is gluten free, that is very important point. And it has antioxidants property which can combat the stress and inflammation in the body. And it is good for heart health. It regulates blood sugar. It supports weight management. And also there are claims that it can prevent cancer. So there are innumerable health benefits of quinoa, and that is why this is considered as a superfood. So the pooled result from these 5 studies showed that quinoa seed supplementation significantly lowered body weight, waist circumference, fat mass, insulin serum level, triglyceride, total cholesterol and low density lipoprotein. So generally it is useful to maintain weight, and also there is some beneficial effect in regulating the blood sugar. The current evidence suggests that quinoa seed might be utilized as a possible new effective and safe supplementary option to prevent and control cardiovascular disease in humans. So there is some benefit in preventing cardiovascular disease. So the next study is about quinoa consumption and blood glucose, body weight and body mass index. So this is a systematic review and dose response meta-analysis of clinical trials. So 7 studies were included. Around 250 adults ages 31 to 64 years were included in this study. And study used around 15 to 50 grams of quinoa per day as an intervention, and the intervention was between 28 to 120 days. This research shows that quinoa has some potential benefits, especially to maintain weight, to reduce cholesterol and harmful lipids, and also to maintain blood glucose level. So it is good to consider consuming quinoa as part of diet. But I know it is not grown everywhere, and sometimes it can be very expensive when we have to import these food items to our particular local setup. Fame of this vegetable, or it is a green leaf, is largely attributed to a media campaign in 2011 by the American Kale Association to promote the product and remarket it as a superfood. So there is nothing wrong with kale. Kale is a good nutritious green leaf, but we only heard about this kale in the last few years. So I am trying to look at the reason why kale suddenly became popular. Because it was a part of a campaign from the Kale Association to market it as a superfood. So there are some interesting facts about the history of kale. Kale was once considered as the food of the rural poor, and it is also considered as the food of the livestock. Kale has been grown in Europe for over 2000 years and used to be so common that it was suitable for animals. And humans ate kale only as a last resort or during the times of poverty or some difficult times like war. When other food substances were not that available, people were eating kale. So for this reason, it is acquired the nickname like poor man's spinach or peasant cabbage. In some parts of Africa, kale is considered as a cheap source of nutrition compared to Western countries. Western countries, kale is considered as a superfood, and also sometimes it is expensive because in some places it is not grown. It is not everyone's favorite. There are other tasty green leafy vegetables. Kale has a unique taste and a texture that can vary somewhat depending on its variety and how it is prepared. So if you can handle little bitter taste of kale, it is packed with important micronutrients such as calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, copper, manganese and selenium. It is also a good source of vitamins including vitamin A, B, E, C and K. So the best way to consume kale is to avoid blanching and boiling kale, as it can reduce the amount of water-soluble minerals, vitamins and phytochemicals in the leaves. The tender leaves of kale can be eaten uncooked in salads and stir fry, or it should not be overcooked. It should be only stir fry for 3 to 5 minutes. So the next superfood everyone must have heard about, that is chia seeds. So chia seeds is so popular. People are using like in smoothies, in porridge, and also you can also make some desserts. So chia seeds have many health benefits. It's high in fiber, it has omega-3 fatty acids, it has antioxidants, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium. It can regulate blood sugar, it helps in weight loss. So it is the impact of chia seeds on diabetes, blood pressure, lipid profile and obesity indicators, and this is a systematic review of 14 randomized controlled trials. So there are more studies in this particular review, and also the results are promising. So the results suggest that chia supplementation may offer beneficial effects on lipids, hypertension, body weight, so potentially mitigating the risk of cardiovascular disease. So this is a good news for chia seeds lovers and also people who consume chia seeds regularly. Let us move on to the next superfood, that is berries. There are many berries, but some berries are considered more superior than the others. The top berry or the top superfood is blueberries. So if you read about blueberries, you will see many potential health benefits. It can reduce risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, neurologic decline. It can improve weight management. It has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It can improve blood sugar regulation. It can improve immune health, reduce gastrointestinal symptoms, reduce urinary tract infections. And blueberries are low in calories and fat, high in fiber, vitamin C, vitamin K and so on. If you look at the research also shows some evidence that berries are generally beneficial for health. So the next food item I am going to talk about is one from the list of fermented foods. Next is about kimchi, a fermented food. So there are several fermented foods considered as superfood like kimchi, kombucha, kefir. So I have done a video about kefir some time back. So I would like to show some highlights about kefir from that video. If you are interested to see the full video, I will provide the link in the description. So let us talk about kimchi now. So kimchi is a fermented food. It's like a pickle. It has become popular in recent years because of health benefits. Fermented foods are ones prepared when microbes like bacteria or yeast ferment or digest food components to form new foods. Examples are yogurt, cheese, kefir, kombucha, wine, kimchi, etc. So as a result of fermentation, the food becomes acidic, extending its shell life. It won't get spoiled easily. This makes fermentation one of the earliest forms of food processing and preservation. Fermentation also leads to new nutrients, beneficial microbes or probiotics, and which can digest nutrients and components in the food to produce new bioactive components. So these postbiotics are thought to contribute to the health benefits of the fermented foods alongside the health benefits of the bacteria. So generally fermented foods are considered good for gut health and good to promote the useful bacteria. There is a large-scale Korean study which involved 115,726 people aged 40 to 69 who reported how much kimchi they would have eaten over the previous year. So the study was funded by the World Institute of Kimchi, which specializes in researching the country's national dish. So this is so popular in Korea. That is why it is considered as a national dish. So eating 1 to 3 serving of any type of kimchi a day was associated with a lower risk of obesity in men. So men who ate more than 3 serves a day of cabbage kimchi were less likely to have obesity and abdominal obesity, and women who ate 2 to 3 serves a day of kimchi were less likely to have obesity and abdominal obesity. So what should we do? Whether to consume kimchi, kefir, these fermented foods or not? So there are some beneficial effects of these fermented foods. It is good for our gut health, and also it will help to control the weight. And so there are certain beneficial effects for these fermented foods. And we need more studies to see that whether there is any strong effect or whether there is a direct connection between fermented foods and some of these health claims. So is there any side effect or downside of consuming fermented foods? Some fermented foods such as kimchi and sauerkraut have added salt. So if it is too much salty, it is not good. It is like a salty food. So you need to consume fermented food with less salt. Often fermented foods like pickles contain more salt. So that is not good for the health. So the last superfood of today's discussion is avocado. So some of us like avocado, and I think most people like avocado, and it is a superfood because it contains lots of nutrients. But a huge increase in avocado production in certain parts of the world is not good for the environment. So it is similar to the case of any other superfood. If it is excessively cultivated in certain parts, it is not sustainable for that environment. So eating 2 or more servings of avocado a week may cut your risk of cardiovascular disease by 16% according to a new study. So avocado is good for heart health. It's a study from United States. So the study contains 2 aspects: the health professionals follow-up study and the nurses' health study. So between 1986 and 2016, researchers followed up more than 41,000 men from the health professionals follow-up study, aged 40 to 75 years, and more than 68,000 women, aged 30 to 55 years from the nurses' health study. So to take part in the study, participants had to be free of cancer, coronary heart disease, and stroke. Every 2 years after that, they completed a questionnaire on their health and lifestyle. And every 4 years, they completed a questionnaire on what they ate. The researchers recorded the number of cardiovascular disease cases, including coronary heart disease and stroke, that occurred during the 30-year study period, 30. So that is a long-term follow-up study. So those who ate 2 or more servings of avocado every week had a 16% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 21% lower risk of coronary heart disease compared with those who avoided or rarely ate the fruit. People who ate 2 or more servings, that means people who had more than one avocado, one or more than one avocado in a week, they had 16% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 21% lower risk of coronary heart disease. So this is a very significant finding, and this shows that avocado has beneficial effect on cardiovascular disease and coronary heart disease risk. We have to remember that this is a type of observational study because they have asked people to report. It is self-reported. So people can forget things or may not be able to remember things clearly. So that is a limitation. But the strength of this study is it is done over a period of 30 years, and also it has recruited many subjects, around total about 110,000 participants. So that is the strength of the study. But the limitation is it is an observational study. So we cannot prove, like cause and effect cannot be established. But it shows that avocado has a beneficial effect on cardiovascular risk factors. It is time to conclude this video. So how to conclude this video? So my question is whether it is a superfood. Are you convinced that all this food I discussed are the superfoods, or some of these foods are hyped and some doesn't have strong research evidence? So the simple thing is, like, they are superfoods and they contain lot of nutrients, and I'm not going to repeat all that, and they all offer potential health benefits. And some of these things also hyped. There are lot of commercial or marketing interest in some of these food items, and sometimes it is considered, it can be expensive, because if it is not locally produced, if it has to be imported from other countries, it can be quite expensive. So whether we have to spend so much money and buy the superfoods, so that is a decision to be taken, because there are a lot of other nutritious food available locally. And coming to the research, the important thing is coming to the research. Not everything, you must have noticed, like you may not be able to remember the individual research studies I have mentioned. Why I mentioned all these individual research studies and systematic reviews? Most often I mention systematic reviews because it's a collection of studies. It provides the highest level of evidence. So why I mentioned that is, you can see like some area it is strong, but most often from these research studies, they cannot provide a strong recommendation regarding the dose, how much of the superfood to be taken, how often it should be taken, and what is the safe way to consume to get the desirable health effect. So that is something not very clear. Most often it is not clear. But most often the research is pointing towards the beneficial effect of it. So my take home message is, like, just because it is a superfood, we should not be consuming this too much and forgetting the other food items, because we need to have a balanced food. Again, the same old proven public health message of balanced food. We need to have all the type of major food components in our diet, like we need carbohydrate, we need protein, we need fat, vitamins, minerals, everything, and all these food items should be there in a balanced diet. So we should not give over emphasis to superfood and forget about eating a balanced food. Final word is, if you can include some of this superfood in our regular diet, it is well and good. It is good to include, and then overall maintain a balanced diet. So that is very important. So thank you so much for listening to this long video, and I know it's over 30 minutes. So I humbly request you to subscribe to this channel. If you think the information is useful, please like, share and subscribe. And I would like to hear your comments about superfoods and any recommendations. and see you soon with the next video.